Assalamualaikum. Hi and a very good day everyone. This week we are going to learn about chapter 8 observation presented by group 5. Our group members are Zulatikah Mat Hanapi, Anis Zulaikha Asniza, Anis Sofia Azman, and Najwana Nabila Kahiruddin. So our class agenda for today is that we are going to learn about the definition of observation, the types of observation, the role of observation, importance of observation, method of making observation, observation and theory, and the way theory influence observation. I hope you are ready to learn this topic. We are going to start now. Let's go!
The first class agenda for today is the definitions of observations. Definitions of observations, meaning that observation is an act or instance of noticing, perceiving, or watching. Observations also the habits of observing or noticing, besides the information or records secured by such an act. And the last one, observation is the fundamental aspect of all scientific research. Scientists learn and envelop concepts through observing the environment, people, animals, things, and how they affect each other. Next, we continue with the types of observations. Observation divide into two types, which is qualitative observations and quantitative observations. Now, we look at the definitions of qualitative observation. Qualitative observation is a subjective gathering of information which focuses more on differences in quality rather than differences in quantity. Usually, qualitative observation is more time-consuming, expensive, and personal, and it uses the five sensory organs while examining research variables. This is because the focus of qualitative observation is the characteristic of the research subject rather than numerical value or quantity. Basically, the qualitative observation can be made by using the five sensory organs. First, we use our eyes to see and observe. We use our tongue to taste. We use our nose to smell. We use our finger to touch, and last one, we use our ear to hear. We move into the examples of qualitative observations. The first is, the bowl was hot to touch. The second one is, the skin on her hand was smooth and silky. The third one, small particles were visible on the bottom of the beaker. Next, the lilies had a sweet smell that permeated the mauve room. Then, the soup is very salty. And the last one is, that girl has brown hair and blue eyes. Let's continue with the definitions of quantitative observation. Quantitative observation, on the other hand, is an objective gathering of information which focuses on numbers or measurement while basing results on statistics and numeric analysis. Except for the social sciences, it is the most used observation method in research. It involves the observation of anything that can be measured, such as the differences in shapes, sizes, colors, volume, and numbers. A quantitative observation is also referred to as a standardized observation because it is measured research variable using definite parameters and result in definite research outcomes. We continue with the characteristics of quantitative observation. First, accuracy. Data can be measured and it produces a correct result in comparison to other methods such as qualitative observation, which produce results that cannot be quantified. For example, the boiling temperature of water at sea level is 100 Celsius is a quantitative observation. Next, the characteristic is constant result. Results of this observation method are constant. The boiling point of water at sea level will be 100 Celsius and will not change with other variables remaining constant. The third one is use various instruments. Instruments such as ruler, thermometer, balance that are used for quantitative observations. And the last one is numerical result. All the results of quantitative observation are in numerical. So here we have a few examples of quantitative observations. Number 1, the bed is 7 feet long and 4 feet high. Number 2, in a first grade classroom, there are 10 girls and 7 boys. Number 3, I received 20 emails this morning. Number 4, there are 365 days in a year and 24 hours in a day. Number 5, there are 7 birds living in a tree in the backyard. Number 6, 98% of graduating high school class is going to college. And the last one is the number of letters in the alphabet is 26 and 5 of them are vowels. Next, we continue with the differences of qualitative and quantitative observations. First, qualitative observation gathers data samples using complete observer as a participant as an observer, and complete participant methods, while quantitative observations collect data samples using survey, questionnaire, and polls. The second one is qualitative observation depends on subjective parameters for data gathering and data analysis. Compared with quantitative observation methods, it is dependent on fixed numerical parameters to categorize data samples. Next, qualitative observation is usually conducted on small data sample, while quantitative observation is carried out on a large data sample. The last one is examples of qualitative observation are color, smell, taste, touch, typology, and shapes, while examples of quantitative observation include age, weight, height, length, population size, and other numerical values.
Okay, now let's recap. What is the role of observation?
Role of observation. First, observation helps scientists to collect and record the data, which helps them to construct and then test a hypothesis and theory. Scientists observe their experiments in many ways with their own sense or tools. Observation lets scientists view and test a hypothesis in real world, making it less hypothetical than other data collection methods. Second, observation also helps us to get an accurate information about the experiment. The observation by using an equipment such as microscope, scanners, or transmitters allow us to get a more precise and accurate information. Okay, then let's proceed with the importance of observation. Importance of observation. First, observation is important to analyze and interpret data. Scientists analyze and interpret data to look for meaning that can serve as evidence. Second, observation is important to test prediction. Making prediction is making educated guess about the outcome of future events. Prediction is based on both good observation and inferences made about observed events. Third, observation is important to make a hypothesis. To make an hypothesis, we must make observation because to test hypothesis, we need a data. Next, the importance of observation is to make predictions about logical consequence of the hypothesis. Prediction is the outcome that you would observe if your hypothesis were correct. So, to make a prediction, we must make hypotheses based on our observation. Lastly, the importance of observation is to create conclusions based on data or information. Conclusion will not be possible without going through the observation. Before we can come up with a conclusion, we need to be certain that all results have been verified and that no mistakes are made. Okay, now let me see how to make an observation. Method of making an observation. There are two methods of making an observation, which are: first, by using our own sense; second, by using an equipment. First method of making an observation is by using our sense. We can use our own sense, such as taste, sight, smell, touch, and sound to observe the experiment. The example making an observation by using our own sense. First, we use our eyes to see the color changes in the solution of chemicals. Second, we touch the surface of object to know it's hard or smooth. Second method of making an observation is by using an equipment. We can also use an equipment such as microscope, magnifying glass, measuring cylinder, burette, and also litmus paper to observe the experiment. The example of making an observation by using equipment. First, we use a microscope to see a microorganism that cannot be seen by our eyes. Second, we use litmus paper to observe whether the solution is alkali or acid.
I hope that you guys are still with us. Now, let us go deeper into the pros and cons of observation. The pros of observation. Observation is a very direct method for collecting data and information for a scientific study. The data collected is very accurate and reliable, especially for the quantitative observation. Observation has the potential to improve the precision of research results, which therefore cause the problem of depending on respondents to decrease. Other than that, observation helps in understanding the verbal response more effectively. It also can be made by using the good and modern equipment such as a laboratory microscope. Finally, the observation is a universal method that is commonly used in all sciences, whether physical and social. Therefore, it is very easily followed and accepted as it has been practiced worldwide. Now, let us take a look at the cons of observation. Firstly, the problems of the past cannot be studied by means of observation. Having no other option, observers need to depend on existing documents. Some observing instruments are expensive, that some schools' laboratory cannot even afford one microscope per lab. This reduces the chances of students to explore more on observation. One cannot study opinions by this means. Observation was made to be put into statement. Study cannot be done towards the observation alone without theory and hypothesis. Sampling also cannot be brought to use in observation. Some observations requires a lot of time. For instance, in experiment of phototropism, where it takes a lot of time to see the plant's ability to bend towards light. And lastly, complete result cannot be achieved by only observing. Observation and theory. In this subtopic, you are going to learn on how does observation and theory related to each other. Observation and theory. Observation is the act of noticing something or a judgment or inference from something seen or experienced. As example, Sir Isaac Newton watched the apple falls from the tree. Meanwhile, a theory is formulated to explain, predict, understand phenomena, and in many cases to challenge and extend existing knowledge within the limits of critical bounding assumption. Observation and theory are related to each other that first, theoretical understanding of the world guides our selection of what observation to do. Second, guiding decisions as to when observations are credible. Third, the theory guides the description of the observation be irrelevant. And fourth, describing what is observed has a significant theoretical influence in cases of no apparatus.
Okay everyone, I guess all of you have already known the relationship between observation and theories. So, let's proceed with the last subtopic in this chapter, which is theory influences observation in several ways. As you already know, there are 4 types of theories influences observation. Now, I will explain more detail about the 4 of the theories. First, theoretical understanding of the world guides our selection of what observation to do. To collect data must be directed by theories that tell us where to look and what is important enough to warrant attention. It means, in order for us to gather information, we must be guided by theories that will teach us where to look for it, and we must spend enough time and attention to it. For example, gravitational acceleration. Secondly, guiding decision as to when observations are credible. First, make sure that there are no distorting factors and correcting any factors that persist. Number 2, this role of the theory is clear in cases of observation that are assisted by machine. It means ensure that there are no external factors or incidents will have impact on the theory. Machines have greatly aided in this type of thought. For example, the using of telescope. Third, theory guides the description of observation. Using accounting theories to help clarify what observation means and guide the appropriate description of the observation. And fourth, describing what is observed has a significant theoretical influence. It is in the case when no apparatus assists the observation. First, grouping the individual item we encounter under heading of the same kind of thing, which means categorize all the information under the same type and form. Lastly, specifying which features are relevant to the association of the kind of thing is a job of theory, which means theory itself has to determine which characteristics and features are suitable to the relationship of the thing. In a conclusion, observation can be categorized into 2, which are qualitative and quantitative observation. Observation is essential in science. It is one of the scientific methods that been used in science. Scientists use the observation to collect and record data, which enables them to construct, then test hypotheses and theories.